Now, after Lightfall dropped and the campaign being finished 3 times on all 3 characters, I might as well give my initial thoughts on how the campaign was and kind of where the story is currently. Because ultimately, again, this is just initial thoughts, and they're not good. I'll say that. I'm kind of glad that I had lower expectations, but it still was kind of sad to see where this was. Now, if you guys don't really know when it comes down to those type of situations, a lot of the times you can actually tell if there is a little bit of a pattern. In this case, when it comes to Destiny and Destiny 2's content, a lot of the times really good and amazing expansions, like for example, Taken King, Forsaken, they always are followed by a very meager, very low, and probably a very disappointing compared to what you got before. And so it looks like that, 3 is a company because just again, hype, amazing expansion from Witch Queen, and then we get Lightfall, which honestly did not feel that great. When it came down to that point in that situation, ultimately it felt like it was just another version of Shadowkeep. Because the ending just kind of was like, alright, cut off, and then no answers, no resolution, no nothing. Now, obviously, Bungie has come out and said, oh yeah, the story is going to continue through the year. It's not something that's like just right there and then, like what we had before. But it feels wrong if it's like that. And the main reason why I say that is because normally you want to have some decent conclusion to kind of lead into the other location. That's how Forsaken felt really good about it. That's how Witch Queen felt amazing. All those 2 were able to come up to a point where it's like, okay, it ended and it felt like a good ending. Now, it didn't say like, oh, everything was done and over, obviously. When it came to Forsaken, we still had to go through the Dreaming City, and then with Witch Queen, that's when they kind of introduced us to the Witness. And so I feel like when it came to that, there still was that, oh, there's this anticipation of what's going to come up. But in this case, it just feels like, oh, we're going through this and then ends. And it sucks. Because essentially what just happened is that we essentially were blue-balled in terms of anything in the story. We didn't get any understanding of what the veil is that was being talked about, which was being advertised. We never really got much of an interesting story when it came to the Cloud Striders, because it didn't feel like there was a lot of development, and it just felt really, really meager compared to it. It felt forced. Now, that being said, the lack of development and the lack of, progression in terms of the storyline and all that went like a hit or miss. Like, we saw the good progression when it came to Callus, which I'm fine with. I don't have a huge issue with it, because ultimately I felt like in the end we were eventually going to fight Callus. That was just the expectation. That was kind of what was the setup for that. And the fact that we fought them and defeated them, I'm fine with. That's great. I think that's a great way of kind of ending off his legacy and his kind of story. Because again, that's kind of what we did with Witch Queen. That's kind of what we did in Forsaken. But then ultimately, we still had this whole thing, this whole major expansion, this whole thing of the Veil, and got no answers. It felt like the only thing that was there was, hey, we have access to Strand. And that's it. That's all. Meanwhile, whatever the Witness was doing, went through and did what he did. And then all of a sudden, oh, that's it. We're done. No, nothing else. Like, there's points where there was, like, cutscenes that were being played, where if you just reorganize the cutscenes, it actually would fit in a lot better location. And the problem is that the story takes around, I would say maybe give or take 6 or 7 hours. If you're not doing it on Legendary, maybe even take shorter. And a lot of it just feels like filler. And that's just the depressing part. Because ultimately, when it comes down to it, it feels kind of like what Beyond Light did. Where Beyond Light had it where it was like, oh, let's focus, let's have this portion be, oh yeah, let's introduce them to Strand. Which is like, fine. But the problem is, it didn't feel like there was anything else to it. Because unlike in Beyond Light, where we actually got somewhat of a story progression, and in Lightfall, we got nothing. It felt like there was just like, we went 2 steps forward and then, hey, let's just deal with Strand for the rest of the time. And that's not what I wanted. I didn't want to go and just play with Strand for, for 6 and 7 hours. Granted, there were some highlights. Don't get me wrong. I did enjoy, funny enough, controversially, I liked Headlong. Headlong was a really good mission. That's just a personal, opinion on that, because people apparently super controversial over it. Headlong, great mission. Just based off of gameplay wise. Story wise, literally dejectedly fuck all. Don't get me wrong on that. But it still was a good mission. I do not see that there was it sucks that was more of a filler based type deal. Like, oh yeah, let's just do this random little side quest thing when we really didn't need to. And that was just the issue with it. But I think the one thing was that made it a little bit more entertaining for me when it came down to those type of situations was that, oh hey, at least I was playing around with Strand. But even then, there wasn't really much to do with Strand. Now, obviously this is going to be kind of like a short video. I'm not expecting this to go super long, likely less than 10 minutes or something. But one thing that I did want to at least get you guys know is that there will be kind of like an overall review of Lightfall, as well as, Season of Defiance coming soon. And I'm saying soon because I feel like everything that's going to happen is going to be likely within the first couple of months. And then after that, it's going to be like, oh yeah, hey, everyone, just like catch up and get kind of used to everything. Because that's what they did in Witch Queen. That's what they did in, in every single like situation when it came to that. And so I think, we should have, ample amount of time just to kind of like lay low and all that. And so that's when I'm thinking of actually creating that and getting that out to you. Again, do apologize for like the lack of videos here. That's primarily because there was a lot of stuff going on that kind of delayed the process of what I wanted to do. But we're here now. We're going to be doing this. And yeah, so with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed me rambling on about the story and everything about that. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed my rambling. And if you do want to see more stuff from this channel, I would recommend you hit the subscribe button, because honestly I want you guys to see when I do upload, because I'll try to be uploading some more stuff here like I was intending to in the first place when I was creating the channel. But do hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.